Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Dychronic, your host here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at this week of Bungie for September 26, 2019. This is the very last TWAB before the release of Shadowkeep on October 1st. On screen now, you can see the full rollout of the next 2 months of Destiny 2 with some very slight changes in it. I'll be mentioning that later down below, but they actually talk about that. And if you did not know, this week of Bungie is basically all the news about Destiny 2 in the past week, current week, and the next few weeks of Destiny 2, and my versions of the TWAB are going to be your audible versions of the TWAB. Sit back, relax, enjoy the cute animals that are on the screen in the many of my videos, and enjoy. So, this week at Bungie is actually a very big one. There's a lot of information, there's a lot of cool pictures, a lot of new things that they're telling us about coming up with Shadowkeep that I have a lot of things to say in this one. So this is going to be one of those long ones. So sit back, relax, this one's going to be a bit of a doozy. That being said, I'm not going to mention every little thing, but I'm going to try to do my best to summarize. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. The first section here is going to be the Destiny 2 Shadowkeep Launch trailer. It's a 2-minute trailer, basically shows off all the stuff that we already know. Nothing really that new. It does show a little bit of the exotics in action, like this specific bow and the explosions that it causes, and a couple of more views of the same stuff that we've already seen, maybe more views of the Shadowkeep dungeon and whatnot, but for the most part, nothing really that critical and new. But it is something nice, and it's only 2 minutes, so go check it out. Moving on to the first item on the list, it's going to be combat changes. Basically, this entire thing says we don't like the way the damage numbers are displayed and the way power has climbed and made these numbers go absolutely crazy, going up to 1 million damage, like being capped out with all 9s. They basically want to minimize the opportunity to get to this high of a number while at the same time maintaining the same impact you've had. So for the most part, not much is going to change except for the displayed values, which means all of my amazing spreadsheets are all kaput because I'm going to have to get new damage numbers. Most of the pictures and perks will be the same, so it shouldn't be that bad. Next up, for PvE difficulty tuning, they're basically widening the gap in which you can be above and below certain enemies. So combatants that are 10 to 40 levels above you will take less time to kill and deal less damage to you, so they're going to be less difficult, and they can go up to 100 power levels above you before they become immune. Basically, they're making it easier to fight higher level enemies, which is, you know, better as we're getting higher and higher up the number of power. Next up, let's talk about progression and economy changes. A lot of cool little informations here, especially if you're trying to min-max this game. A lot of stuff is going to be very important in this section. First of all non-powerful rewards now drop from 3 to 0 points below your highest equipable level, which used to be 15 to 20 below. Now it's going to be basically at level, which is much better than it was before, and that's literally all non-powerful rewards. All of the year 2 powerful rewards will now be retired and changed into legendary rewards. So basically all the powerful stuff from before in year 2 will no longer be able to increase your power. You're gonna have to look at the new stuff. And don't worry, on this channel I'll be making a new Word document for you guys to take with you for all of the sources and all the things you can get. But for the most part, the old one is not useful whatsoever. A very important thing is that under and over leveling activities will no longer adjust the power you receive from rewards, whereas before, if you were very under leveled for a certain activity, you got a larger jump in power to be able to catch up to that particular activity. No longer is that the case. A very important note to know is going to be that experience is changing. Experience no longer fuels the player's current character level. Instead of trying to get to level 50 or level 60 or whatever it was, fueling your character level, everyone is going to be level 50 from now on, and instead you're going to be fueling your seasonal rank. As you can see here on this picture that I've literally have on my desktop, these are all the possible rewards from levels that you can earn during this season of the Undying. After level 100, you get bright engrams every 5 levels. Power granted from the seasonal artifact is an additive power, but not change the power of your drop. And something we have seen from before, all existing gear, no matter what power it has, will go up to a minimum of 750 no matter what. All new players are all current players. Everything in your vault everywhere will be 750. Moving on to this next section that will talk about all of the power bands in Season 8. First of all, again, the floor is 750. Everyone is 750 no matter what you do when Shadowkeep begins. The first band here at the soft cap is going to be at 900. Every single drop will help you from 750 to 900. Every legendary drop, supposedly every blue drop, will help you and increase your power up to 900. The next power band is going to be the powerful cap. Basically, you have to start getting the powerful rewards and pinnacle rewards after 900 to get from 900 to 950. To get from 950 to 960, which is going to be the technical gear cap outside of the seasonal artifact, you have to get them from pinnacle activity. So Pinnacle is a word that we used to describe things like Recluse, Revoker, and those things in the past. Those are no longer called pinnacle weapons. Those are now called ritual weapons. The pinnacle weapons and gear and everything that can drop are things that drop from the pinnacle activities. Things like the new raid, probably Nightfalls. In the past, in Destiny 1, it's also dropped from the Trials of the Nine. But since there is no more Trials of the Nine, my assumption is that Iron Banner will drop it as well. So things that are going to be the end game activities will help you get 10 more power levels for your gear. And then lastly, Prime Engrams have kind of been buffed and nerfed at the same time. You'll get charges more quickly, they'll drop more frequently, and have a higher maximum charge cap, so you can have more charges at once, but they will also drop a lot less power. So it'll be like +3 powers down from a +4 to +7. Next up, let's talk about Bright Dust. You can get Bright Dust from completing Crucible, Gambit, and Vanguard weekly bounties and repeatable bounties from their respective vendors. An important note to preppers who are prepping for Shadowkeep is you cannot keep your Crucible, Gambit, or Vanguard bounties into the new season. They will all be reset and destroyed as soon as the new season comes around. However, other bounties like Gunsmith, Clan, and Eververse will stick around. Something we've seen before is that all Eververse items starting on Shadowkeep will no longer dismantle into Bright Dust. Instead, they'll turn into Legendary Shards and Glimmer, so dismantle everything you want to dismantle now. New Eververse items for the new season of the Undying will become available 2 weeks into the season. Eververse items no longer require Bright Dust to reacquire them from collections. Instead, they will require the same materials that they dismantle in, like Legendary Shards and Glimmer. Fire Team medallions are finally being depreciated, so you just basically get a refund for their value. In my opinion, these things definitely needed to be depreciated a long time ago. Gleaming Boon of the Vanguard and Crucible have had their prices lowered. I think this was 600 and this was 250, but I can't remember. On the start of Shadowkeep, Eververse will be hosting the new Season 8 Nostalgic Engrams. On top of that, the Season 8 Nostalgic Engrams are no longer awarded at level up. Instead, they are awarded as part of the seasonal level up. So as I showed you before, you'll be able to get Bright Engrams along the way. My assumption is the Bright Engrams are going to be these symbols right here, and you can see them in the corner of like nearly every 5 levels all the way down, and after 100 they will be awarded every 5 levels. On top of that, the Eververse storefront will be available from the director. Not something that I really wanted, but it's nice to have if you know that it's there. And lastly, as far as Eververse, is that all of the Eververse bounties will be depreciated, so any remaining notes or any of the bounties you still have will be broken down into Bright Dust, and you must complete those bounties and turn them in before they expire. Next up, an overview of Glimmer, now capped out at 250,000 Glimmer because a lot more sources will require Glimmer and a lot more sources award Glimmer instead of other things, to basically make it so Glimmer is more part of the meta now. So you have increased amounts of Glimmer you can get from world sources like public events, lost sectors, and chests. You get less Glimmer on killing enemies, and on top of that, you'll randomly get additional chunks of Glimmer from killing certain enemies. And lastly, the weekly bounties will award a large amount of Glimmer in addition to their other rewards, basically making it so that Glimmer is more useful and more wanted and more available. On top of that, Spider's having a bit of a change to his exchange rate to adapt to the new 250 cap for Glimmer. Basically, it's making it so you get 10,000 Glimmer at a time instead of 2,500 for 10 shards and 20 materials. On top of that, the weekly wanted bounties are now giving you more Glimmer instead of gear. And lastly, before the patch note previews, is going to be a little bit of information on Xur. The new inventory for the Fated Engram, which is guaranteed to give you an exotic you don't have, will now include everything that is a world drop from year 2. So this will not include things like Jotun or Izanagi that are specific to their particular activities, but it will include anything that is a world drop. Next up, let's go over some patch note preview. They've added rally banners to the previous raids. The Shattered Throne will now be available at all times and can be launched from the director. The Black Armory Forges will now be accessible through the director, which is really, really good. Weapon mods will now be treated as a reasonable unlock instead of a consumable, which we have seen in previous TWABs. Discarding an enhancement core no longer deletes the entire stack, especially when the UI shifted things along. This was very scary, and I've seen unfortunate gifs on Twitter about it. Borealis and Hardlight will now rotate in the same direction as Prism. I don't know why this is so good to me, but it was so infuriating to have Prism rotate one direction and Borealis and Hardlight rotate in the other direction. It was just annoying to have to reload twice. Apparently there was an issue with Phoenix Protocol giving you super energy when you didn't currently have Well of Radiance equipped. Apparently some people were abusing that if they were in a Well of Radiance without Well of Radiance equipped. Fixed an issue with the allied golden guns not going through the allied banner shield. Multiplayer emotes will now have a visible indication of where the player is supposed to be standing, which is something that a lot of us have struggled with. And then finally, failing the first encounter of any Black Armory Forge will no longer award planetary destination materials, which is This face is perfect response to all that. I had never actually farmed out these materials, but it was definitely a very bad farm to have in their game. Next up, let's talk about ritual weapons and perk changes. Ritual weapons are actually the new name for pinnacle weapon, where now pinnacle describes all of the activities that are like endgame type of activities. They will now be called ritual weapons, and now they will no longer have exotic like perks. On top of the fact they will be a lot easier to get. So this whole section basically says all of that and a little bit more information of why, but the basic idea is that people were being forced to play Crucible so that they could use a PvE weapon, and these things were just so powerful that they've kind of become too powerful for a lot of the exotics. So these pinnacle weapons are now, or which are now called ritual weapons, have taken a bit of a hit for the future. On top of that, they were reducing the effectiveness of the following perks in PvE. This includes all of the damage perks like Rampage, Kill Clip, Swashbuckler, Multi-Kill Clip, Desperado, Surrounded, Master of Arms being the Recluse one, and Onslaught. Basically, they're not supposed to be as powerful as they are. They wanted to make it so that you actually have a choice when selecting other options. For example, perhaps you'd actually want to have value for a stability upgrade rather than having Rampage, which is something that is important for the game because for the most part, a primary weapon, you want Rampage or Kill Clip every single time, no matter what for PvE. And now they've made it so perhaps it is a more appreciable choice. And the last note I want to mention about that is I have a ongoing series of the top 5 weapons for all the different categories from PvE to PvE, all of the exotic armors. If you are wondering what's going to be the new meta after all of these damage perks are going to be nerfed, stay tuned to my channel because I also make very detailed and very user-friendly spreadsheets for you to use, and they will be updated over time over the season. And if you guys have used my spreadsheets, you know they are pretty bomb, and I have spent a little too much time making them look as they do. Moving on, we do get a bit of a preview for the next ritual weapons in Destiny 2 Shadowkeep. Now, they don't actually tell us what they do, but they do show us what kind of weapons they are. So Vanguard, we have the Edgewise, which is obviously a heavy machine gun. For the Crucible, we have Randy's throwing knife, which is going to be a scout rifle. And then finally, we have for Gambit, Exit Strategy, which is going to be an SMG. Come to think of it, I don't think they've ever had a sidearm before. I know they've had a scout rifle, the Omnilon's scout rifle, and I know they had an SMG, obviously, but have they had a sidearm? Have they had a rocket launcher? Oh my god, I'm just realizing they've got a lot of options here that they're not using. Have they had an auto rifle? Yeah. They haven't had any one of those 3. My god, I can't believe that that's happened. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the next session. This section talks about a couple corrections that some people may be confused about. First of all, there was a shot of some Trials of the 9 armor in the trailer by mistake. There will be no Trials of the 9 armor released, or Trials of the 9 in general in Season of the Undying. Secondly, they made a bit of a revision to the calendar. As I mentioned before, they basically split up the Legend Nightmare Hunts into 10:15 and 10:22. Basically, this section over here was moved from here to the 10:22 section. On top of the fact, if you haven't been paying attention to news in the past couple of months, they have actually changed out the exotic weapon quest from Divinity, the Trace Rifle, over to Xenophage, which I believe is a machine gun. I can't really tell. And then lastly, they mentioned a finisher in one of their E3 videos where they talked about a finisher that would spawn heavy ammo for your entire fire team when you executed a finisher in return for basically sapping up half of your super. And to me, that sounded really powerful for an entire team of raid people. So they've noticed that a lot of people like it, so they changed that mod to spawn heavy ammo just for yourself, and a different mod that spawns special ammo for your entire fire team. This is why we can't have nice things, because you guys ruin it. Gotta keep it quiet. Next up, a bit of an update on the Pride pins. If you did not know, a couple of months ago, there were some Pride pins on the Bungie store that were being sold, and they told us that there was supposed to be an emblem with it. And many months later, they finally deliver on that promise. There is now an emblem for anybody who bought those Pride pins during Pride Week, which is all about the LGBTQIA+. The TIQI? I thought it was QIA. Maybe this is a typo. There's a very touching story about somebody who discovered their own sexuality, not being just straight. And I highly recommend you check it out. It's actually a really cool strategy about how video games helped him get through that, which is really cool to see. But I'm not going to be going over the details of it because I like to keep these news updates a bit more technical. Moving on to the Bungie rewards, a couple of new things being added to Bungie rewards. This is exactly what you think it is. This is going to be the new Garden of Salvation raid jacket. If you complete the new Garden of Salvation raid within the first 7 days of its release, you'll be able to get a discount code to be able to purchase this. I think the last time was like 150 bucks to buy this one. On top of that, if you complete the Garden of Salvation at any point during the season of the Undying, you'll be eligible to be able to purchase a shirt, which they've hidden for spoiler reasons. And if you complete it, you'll be able to buy this from the Bungie rewards, which is something really nice, being able to give it to these people who don't actually know like the game like I do, and I actually don't get these things either. Moving on to the Dr. Bungie section, which is going to be this blue section at the top, talking about the known issues and updates and rollouts of everything that are coming to Destiny 2 very soon, is going to be headed by this blue section. The first part, a very important thing, is that on Monday, September 30th, on Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, there will be a 24-hour maintenance. And this is going to be offline maintenance, so you will not be able to play Destiny 2 or Destiny 1 throughout that entire 24-hour maintenance. So again, on Monday, September 30th, starting at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, which is literally the reset, to the next reset when Shadowkeep is going to be launching, Destiny 1 and 2 will be offline. So anything that you want to complete for year 2 and all that stuff, you got to do it before that day. For the most part, this won't be a big issue to a lot of people because it's going to be most of a Monday and the beginning of a Tuesday, not a lot of people's time off. Currently, you're able to preload Destiny 2 Shadowkeep as well as New Light on the PC version, and the console versions will get it with their update 2.6.0, which is during that 24-hour maintenance. Following up on top of that, the delay for the Forsaken license transfers on PC, apparently they found a better way to do it, and it shouldn't be as impacting as previously mentioned. The rest of this stuff is going to be about PC migrations and new characters on Steam. If you want to know more information about that stuff, I'm not going to go in detail. It's mostly repeating stuff I've seen in the previous TWABs, reminders about silver purchases on Battle.net, and the transfers, and the code redemption for Battle.net and Destiny 2, all this stuff I've mentioned on a previous TWAB. So make sure you head over to the TWAB if you're concerned about any one of these items. And that is pretty much it. After that, it's the movies of the week. I haven't watched any one of these, but this guy gets an all headshot 7th column Duke, which is something that I find quite impressive because the Duke 44 is not, well, it's not super meta, and I honestly just suck with it. But that is pretty much it. That's the end of the TWAB. It's a bit of a long one. I apologize for making it so long, but I did want to get through a lot of the information. If you notice along the way, I did skip a few items that I didn't think were super important. So if you wanted to read all of those items for yourself, the TWAB is linked in the description down below. But that's it. That's the end of the video. Just want to mention really quick before the end that I'm doing a giveaway right now. Astro A40 headset, 3 blue microphone products, and a Destiny 2 Shadowkeep emblem, event exclusive from PAX West and Gamescom. You can find a link to that in the description down below. It ends on September 29th so that I can get that all figured out before Shadowkeep launches. And of course, if you're looking for some discounts, 10% off anything from Control Freaks with my code Dychronic, and 5% anything for Astro. Just follow the link and turn off your ad blocker to get that cookie. But that's it. That's the end of the video. Hope you guys did enjoy. My name is Dychronic, and I will see you guys in Shadowkeep.